Hello everyone, I'm Michael Tabor and welcome to another edition of Tabor Talk. So, for the people out there who follow me, the people who have been watching my videos, again, I just started this a little over a month ago. Guerrilla style format, but I'm kind of getting a little better at production, as you can see, the intro, and I have an outro. And in 2 months, I'm going to be fucking Steven Spielberg production wise, right? Super freaking polished. I don't want to lose the magic of spontaneity though, so I'm still totally unscripted. I do jot down, before I go on, I jot down a little notes. Like today, I'm going to talk about, I just put Dad's death, and the topic is no atheists in foxholes, and I have a little thing here about my family and all that. So, I talk about everything here on Tabor Talk. It's just me, but in the future, I'm looking at maybe October, November Tabor Talk podcast, and eventually when I build up and I start getting more subscribers and I start getting a following, hopefully I can have some guests. Okay, so my strength really is conversation. People who know me, yes, I'm pretty good with monologue, but really when you hear me going back and forth dialogue, that's really when this thing's going to take off. So getting good guests, and I'll start out with just friends too. I'll have a friend kind of like the Joe Rogan, I'm a Joe Rogan guy, stop talking about him, but Joe started out with just talking to his friends, just to hang, and now he has Bernie Sanders, presidential candidates, everybody's on, right? Penn Jillette, I mean, huge, Mel Gibson, whatever. So maybe that's, who knows, maybe one day I'll be interviewing Barack Obama or something. Madeline kids me about that. My wife, she believes in me 100%. So, but she's my spouse. She's a little biased there. So, okay, let me take a sip of my coffee. So this is going to be a personal one. I talked about my NDE, and I grew up in a small town. I was born in East Rutherford. My parents lived in this small apartment. I have really no memory of this. And when I was 2, my mother and father bought a house in Bloomingdale, New Jersey. They had a house built, and that was 1965. And I do have some memories of that, and I talk about it, and I'll be talking about it more, about early memories. So born I was born in 63. We moved to Bloomingdale, New Jersey in 1965. And my parents had 6 kids. I have 5 siblings, 4 sisters and a brother. And sadly, I don't have a relationship with any of them. I have a relationship now with my mother, and that's it. And it's very sad and unfortunate, but it's just, we are just totally different people. And I want to say this. I got very sick 5 years ago. Early, like February, March, April of 2014, I got really sick, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And then I had an accident, and I talked about this a lot in some of my earlier videos. In August of 2014, I broke my back, and I almost died. I had an NDE, near-death experience, and my siblings just turned their back on me. It's very sad, I at the time I was wishing, I wish my father was still alive. I mean, I know what he'd be saying, like, shame on you. It's just the way it is, and I don't want to talk shit about my siblings. I mean, this is public. I'm gonna publish this. This is gonna go out to the world, right? I have a small following now, but eventually I know this is gonna grow. So I'm not gonna shit on them, but you find out who cares about you, who loves you when you get sick. My family, my siblings, turn their back on me, and I will never speak with them again. That's just the way it is. It's very sad, and I wish them well. I don't wish ill on them. And by the way, what I really resent is they tried to turn our mother on me. talking shit and lying. And it's very sad and unfortunate. So I speak with my mother all the time, thank God. I mean, there was a time I went a whole year without talking to my own mother because of my siblings. All right, that's another video recording. I'll leave it at that. I want to talk about my father. I had a very weird, stormy relationship with my father. I could talk for an hour about this, but I'm gonna try to put it in a nutshell here. So my father, I thought when I was a kid, was the greatest dad in the world. The relationship I had with my father, I mean, it just, I'm a little choked up here, but my father used to take me to, like Yankee games and football games, and I just remember as a little kid, going to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx and like holding my father's hand, and I'm probably like 6 years old and 7. I remember being so scared. It's like a big city, and I remember going like playing with his vein as a little kid. It's a weird kind of memory, and but that was such an incredible thing what my father did. We used to watch football games and baseball. I have a brother who never was interested in spectator sports. He was a pretty good athlete on his own. He pitched in Little League and then in high school, and he was a very good pitcher, but he had no interest in like the Yankees or the Giants, and that was a weird thing. So my father and I, we had that relationship. We loved it. My father and I were Yankee fans, Giants fans, and I like the Cowboys too. My father did too. It's a weird thing. How could you like the Giants and the Cowboys both? But we did. And anyway, growing up, I wasn't the athlete. I was picked on. My brother was more the athlete, and my father went to my brother's games, and he would even go to mine, but not so much. I was kind of a dorky kid. I really was, And then that all changed. So now I'm the athlete, and my brother's the dork, or he thinks he's something. He I don't want to blast him, but he thinks he runs marathons. But I'll tell you what, I could fucking kick. Listen. He's pathetic. Let me just put it this way. I always say that my brother is Fredo. Like Chris Cuomo got pissed off. Someone called him Fredo. My brother's Fredo. Weak and stupid. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. So my father, we had this relationship, and then I went through adolescence. I'm really going through this quite quickly, but I want to do this now. Just really kind of give you a general outline. So I went through this awful period, this awkward period, and I'm, adolescence. I'm trying to find my way. I had this rebellion. I kind of walked away from sports, and I got into music big time, and like heavy metal music, and even some punk rock. And I was like, wanted to grow my hair, and I was not a nice kid. And my father had a heart attack when I was a sophomore in high school, and my father was 49 at the time, and it was awful, and it just was the most horrible thing. I was right there. It was a Sunday. We were watching the football game. It was a 4:00 game. And my father woke up and he wasn't feeling well. And then he had this heart attack. We went to Chilton Hospital, and there you go. But anyway, my father was never the same after that. And our relationship turned sour. I mean, I was a rebellious asshole kid, and my father was just fucking bitter and nasty. And we fought all the time for years. I mean, it was so horrible. Like saying, I hate you. My father would say, I hope you get into a car accident. It was the worst thing. He didn't mean it, but it was just words. It was nasty, and I would say shit back. So anyway, I'm going to fast forward. I'll talk about that more in future video recordings. But my father died, and I wrote this down too, February 24th, 2012. So it's been a little over 7 years. And 2 weeks before my father died, I went to the house. I was living on Long Island. I came by myself. Madeline didn't come with me. And I was on the couch with my father, and I said, this is, again, has to do with religion and God. My father was a Catholic, raised a Catholic, a Christian, believed in God to the end. And this is another thing, sort of a little kind of thing that we had, was I've always questioned. At the time, I was atheist, agnostic. I'm now a universalist. But anyway, so we were talking, And I knew my father was dying, and my father was an incredibly brave man. And I asked my father, I go, "Are you afraid?" And he goes, "No," just like that. And I believed him. And we got into religion. I don't know exactly how that came about. My father says, "Well, I believe in God. I'm in God's hands, and I have no fear." And then I said, "There are no atheists in Foxholes." And my father got pissed. Okay, he turned to me. He goes, "I heard that one." My father, if you knew my father, he was very rough, and my father did not pull any punches, and he didn't like bullshit. He was a guy who spoke from the heart, and yeah, he could be really nasty and mean and all that. But if you try to talk like shit, like, hey, you try to come up with a cliche, and especially at a serious time like this, I said, "Dad, there are no atheists in Foxholes." And he goes, "I heard that one, Mike. Come up with a new one." And he was pissed, and I felt really ashamed. Like I didn't want to come up with some clever saying when my father's dying, and he made me feel kind of awful. My father did that with me a lot, and I'm going to get into another video recording how we people how we deal with people who are dying. End stage. It's like we're so uncomfortable. We don't want to say the wrong thing, and it's weird. But that's another video recording. So anyway, the last time I saw my father, and then again he yelled at me again. He goes, "Mike, what are you, a prosecutor?" My father was a hard ass. And by the way, politically too, my father was right wing and I'm a liberal, Democrat. But anyway, the last time I saw my father, we were in the kitchen and we hugged, and I said, "I love you, Dad." And he goes, "I love you, son." And that was the last time I saw him. And he died. My mother called me, and when I went to the wake and then the funeral, and that was 2012. And again, I wasn't talking to. That's another story. I'll leave it at that, and I'm going to continue here. Tabor Talk, more on my family, my siblings, my relationship with my father, and my mother. There's so much here, and I'm trying to squeeze everything in, and I'm talking about a lot. But I hope this makes sense. Good friends, good books, and a sleepy conscience. Peace, love, and understanding. Tabor Talk.